Morning, everybody. I want to do an encore of last night's Healing Freedom post as I sip my morning coffee, get ready for my morning routine in the box. Said hello to the birds, hello to the sunflowers. First couple sips of morning coffee, and I think there's soap still in that cup, but that's okay. Body's gonna go ahead and handle that. Nothing like a dark roast with a dash of dawn. So one of the most important relationships, and I want to clear this up, that we have outside of ourselves with ourselves, and understanding self and understanding what we need to do so that this thing can help us understand this thing, and this thing can help us understand this thing, and we can put it all together to make us in a position to be able to understand all those other little things and connect with all those other little things, whatever they are, is the person you choose to guide you in your healing freedom, the person you choose to guide you in your medicine approach, the person that you choose to guide you to heal whatever it is you're healing, whatever the symptoms are. I just call them all injuries, whether they're musculoskeletal, whether it's endocrine, whether it's cardiorespiratory, immune, skin, whatever it's going to be. That is a decision that is more important than any other area of your life, more important than your finances, than your home, than your car, who teaches your kids, your spiritual, this, that. It is the most important, and it makes me sound biased, but it's just touching the highest level of what allows us to have access to any experience that we have. That's why healing freedom, like, when we lose our healing freedom, food just doesn't taste the same. When we lose our healing freedom, vacations just don't hit. When we lose our healing freedom, making love just doesn't feel the same as it did. When we lose healing freedom, music just doesn't sound the same as it does. Holding a child just doesn't hit the same. That's what I'm saying. So I have people who will reach out, and they're almost ashamed that they're asking for guidance, where it's like, I know I should be able to figure this out on my own, but I need some help, or I need some guidance, or I need to do an eval, or I'm having trouble with this. Absolutely. That's what I want to clear up. The person you're asking to guide you had better understand what true healing freedom is. And that's why I only trust two names in the whole rigmarole of this entirety of the ocean of medicinal and healing guidance, healing help, professional. And why I've evolved and care to evolve over 24 years of doing this, and why I shut down my office. Have to apply it in my life, and it has to sync up in professionally. There can't be a division where I sell something else and guide something, doing something, and then do something totally different. Or my body's going to be totally different. I can't heal this because it's not. No, the potential's all there. Everything's sitting there. There's nothing wrong with asking for help and asking for guidance. Shit, it took me 2-3 years just to grab the basic concept of some injuries, because I challenged it and challenged it and challenged it. And the stories we've been told, that's what's so hard, is we hold on to these stories that we've been told around why the body responds the way it does. What is a symptom? What is medicine? Why supplements and herbs? Why detoxes? Why, diets don't make any sense? Why everything that I'm saying? Why I can say that and then back it personally and clinically. That's what has to be held. And then it's getting somebody to understand that. There's nothing wrong with asking for help as you're starting to let go of the old stories, because it's scary. It can be lonely. It's efforting. It's difficult. It's simple, but it's hard to break this stuff. And so there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. And I want to clear that up, because I get it also with follow-ups. That's why I shut down my office. I had done my office in a way that nobody had ever done it. I'd shaped it in a way that I had envisioned it, and I created something, but then I realized as I was evolving me, and the me in my office was evolving, and my office was looking the way it was and what I was standing for, I'm like, my God, I'm really not allowing true healing freedom to show up, because I have constant repeat, tell me what to do type scenario. And even just the physical space and what it stands for, we have to go to that office to get guidance from you, because we trust you, and this is the most important alliance that we could form in our lives as we're asking for help with ourselves or with our families or whatever it's going to be. And so I had to close the office. It wasn't okay with me anymore, because then I'll get follow-ups now. They're like, I held off on doing a follow-up because I didn't think I was doing the whole document. I didn't think I was doing all this stuff, and you were going to be ashamed of me and this, that, and the other, as if we need another level of shame or guilt to feel, another person. And it's not that at all. It's set up in a way that now follow-ups are so streamlined because of what you have access to, because of all we cover, because of everything we touch, because of me putting it all in your hands, and now you going and taking it in your life and making it your life. Follow-ups now make sense. The guidance makes sense. And now we hit, and we're going into things we didn't even touch on day one, because you've now peeled back something and seen something and changed something and advanced something or experimented, and now we have a whole new thing, plus whatever time expended between the last time I talked to you to now. I've been challenging the shit out of it, got injured a ton, have massive symptoms, have lived a lot of life, and have discovered a whole new level of a whole new list of things that we could go ahead and enhance even more, because I'm doing it in my life first. And if I do it in my life, then it applies to my medicine that I clinically help, professionally help. So I just want to dissolve that, when I'm shouting from the fucking rooftops that healing freedom and freedom and healing is taking it back, that there's nothing wrong with asking for help. There's nothing wrong with getting guidance, but that guidance, that person had better understand in their own life the entirety of that whole thing, as well as clinically. And as I said, call it braggy, call it whatever. No, it's called trust. I only trust 2 people out of all the names that I know. And I'm not going to sit there and stay on this for a while, but people are like, aren't you friends with so-and-so and so-and-so and so-and-so, doctor? Sure, as I've said, I'll be friends with a lot of people, but that doesn't mean that I trust your business, or I'm going to send anybody your way to allow this level of business. Just like a bad contract, I could be friends with a bad person a person who has a shitty business of building homes, but I in no way will allow my friends to access your shit business. But we can still be friends. We're probably just not going to talk shop. And so that's really where it is. It's nothing personal. From a standpoint of, I'm not referring people to somebody because it's personal. I'm referring to people to somebody because they get it, understand it, I trust it, and there's no holes. And that person is going to continue to improve their level of guidance and their level of medicine, because the continued education comes from their life. It doesn't come from a conference, ever. Will it ever come from a conference? If it does, that person doesn't get it, and they're not free in their healing on their own, let alone clinically. And so again, I just want to dissolve that, because there's a level of shame if you're asking for help, or there's a level of after we go into 4 hours or 5 hours and you get your document, you have so much and you're so overwhelmed, and I understand it. That's why we sip from a fire hose when we do these Zooms, and I give you everything so you can go ahead and peel it apart at your own pace and see all the areas of life that would touch your expression, your healing expression, regardless of what you showed up with and what your intentions were with the visit. And we need guidance. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. But each time we visit, it'll change in a direction. And each time we visit, it's magnified. And each time we visit, it makes sense. A follow-up makes sense. Instead of, as I said, the constant repeat, tell me what to do type. Like today's mentor. Today's mentors are copy and paste and tell me what to do. There's no more wisdom with mentors anymore. There's no more struggle with mentors anymore. And everybody who's like barking saying, I do it differently, you can just go to wherever their page is and see that they don't understand. And then, as I said, I can say that clearly because there's 2 questions you ask across the board. 2 questions will help make sense of everything. 1, does it make sense? Does the approach, does what we're saying, does the description, does the breakdown of everything, does the source of this all, does it make sense? Does all the material we're going over, does it make sense? Done. There's a lot of people selling that. And so those people in my DMs that are like, oh my God, we're so the same. Oh, we should talk. We're so the same. Body only heals. We're so the same. Body only heals. Does it make sense? And then finally, does it work? And the does it work is a very unique one in medicine, because we can make things appear to work, where we can manipulate and make a quick change. You can do anything, changing any variable to an extreme nature, and you can make something look, and the body will respond because it's that awesome. But it doesn't hold, it doesn't sustain. Did that person learn along the way? Do they understand why? And now do they understand what to change in their life, rather than you just manipulating a simple variable? No. And so it doesn't work, because the scenario comes back, or it changes, or that person's even more lost because you fixed it. And so that's where does it work in medicine isn't this short-term relief of anything, fix anything, quick fix of anything, and this merry-go-round of flare-ups and management, flare-ups and management, flare-ups and management. You see this a lot in all levels. Strength and conditioning, training, fitness. Everyone has flare-ups of their old injury, and then they manage it as they're giving programs. Like, wait a second. The top minds are chronically fucked. The top minds in these fields are just dilapidated messes, and not by choice, but by I don't know what to do anymore. There's another thing if you just choose to live this way, knowing full well that you can make these changes and live in a way to heal to a level greater, and then guide people and go. That's not what I'm talking about. You can make the choice knowing all the information, understanding all the potential, understanding healing freedom, understanding these principles and laws and rules that we all have to apply. That's fantastic. But the other, where it's just like, I don't know. So does it make sense? Does it work? That will hold. And I'll do that in Zooms. Some of the last questions in Zooms will be, I'm like, any questions left? Yeah, so I was doing this, that, and the other before, or I was doing this program, or I would like to do this in the wintertime, or I'd like to do, could I keep those involved? Could I keep those? And so I go, okay, one, does the reason you do all those things, or the reason you are implementing all those things, does it make sense? And they're always like, yes, because people are selling the words that make sense, the words. And then I said, and secondly, to keep things in, you have to answer this question. Were they working? And everybody kind of has a smirk, because they know. No, they clearly weren't. That's why we reached out and went this whole extreme other way, this entirely other way, other direction. And that's where a part of the videos that I had said we're letting it go. You have to let that stuff go. And that's hard, because those stories comforted us. Those stories kept us safe. Those stories made us feel good. Those stories of those things are locked in. That's why the guidance a lot of times needs to be there, because it's hard when you're shedding all this stuff. It's hard when you burn all your bridges and you're on the island by yourself. There's nothing wrong with the guidance. There's no guilt, no shame with the guidance. And you'll see how it's set up differently when we go into this. I've even revisited with people that I had in my office, had coffee with them. And when I break down what I'm going into now, when I break down what I'm going into with the injuries, and I break down what I'm touching upon on healing, and what I'm breaking down on everything that we cover on an eval, it's just like, holy shit, nothing even close to what I was doing in the office, because it couldn't sit that way in the office. There's no way it could be that way. Plus I wasn't accessing all this, the version I was at the time. And every single time I'm met, every single time I'm visited, every single time I'm seen, I had better be a whole other upgraded version, updated version, downloaded version, applied version, tested version of these principles, rules, and laws that we all have to paint with. Otherwise, what am I doing? Can't rightly guide people or take on clientele if I'm not doing it myself. And so I just want to clear that up. So whether you're on the fence of doing a follow-up, whether it's training follow-up or something entirely different, or on the fence of starting with me, there's no shame in getting guidance, and you'll see with what I offer why that healing freedom makes total sense in how I talk about it. And then the other name in your document, the only other name I will ever talk about, is Dr. Cassie Huckabee, and she's the only other one that understands it to the fullest extent that I understand, that I know of, that I would trust my body with. And if I can trust my body, I'd trust yours. All right. Have a good weekend, everybody.